Hey guys, welcome back to another Take 5. This is going to be about preparing the project for play. So, when we start a project and um, we have our editor window open with our level editor here, you can see that the play button is here. You can hit play. It's going to take you into the level editor. You're going to be able to right click and you're going to be able to look around and you're going to be able to use WASD and you can move around. These are the simple things that you can use. I think you can also use the arrow keys right here to look and go forward and backwards. This is because, sorry, you don't have to right click to move the mouse. It automatically does it. It's just connected so these are the base classes, the pawn, character, game instance, and game mode that are running right now, and you can't modify those. So if you want to make your own pawn and your own character and your own game mode, and you want to be able to do something with using those, and and modify the variables and stuff, you have to make them and add them to the project. So how you do that is, let's go in here. Let's go to our blueprints. We're just going to make a couple things. We're going to go a blueprint class. We're going to make a pawn, and we're going to call this something that's not just pawn. So let's call this tutorial pawn. You don't want to just name things real basic stuff because it'll get conflicted with the actual base classes or the default classes that we were just looking at in that editor. Another one we're going to use, we're going to make a player pawn. So we're going to call this character. So tutorial character or controller, not character, controller. And then we're going to make another blueprint. We're going to get the game mode base, and we're going to just call this obviously tutorial GM. And we can also do another one if we need to. We can go down here to all classes, and you can get game instance. Game instance allows you to create a class like this, and we can call this tutorial GI. Game instance is a good place where you can set a lot of variables that you want to pull from at the very beginning when the game starts. Your game instance is something that's going to, a lot of times it's used to keep track of everything. It's where, like if you have a lot of variables though that you want to pull from the beginning and set a bunch of things, you can use the game instance because it's able to be grabbed. You can say get game instance, and you can always go cast to tutorial game instance or whatever type of game instance you have, whatever your name is, and you can get the variables from another class because you can access it right here. It's got world access. So let's get rid of that. But basically, you've got these variables now, or these classes. I mean, sorry, got these classes. Let's take this out of the way, and I'm going to show you where you put them. So in order to set up the project for play, you're going to come back into maps and modes inside your project settings. And right here, there's the game mode. And see what it's using right now is default game mode is game mode base, which this is a class that you cannot modify. Thus, why these are all gray. You can't go into game mode base and change these. It won't let you. So you have to make your own game mode. So we made tutorial game mode, and now they're all available and they're all accessible and you can change them now. So we can go, okay, well, we don't want to use the default pawn, obviously. We made a pawn. So let's use our tutorial pawn. And you can do a HUD class. We can set up our tutorial character class. We can use these other things are specific for the game mode. There's a player state, which usually you would use to keep track of player information for networking and things. There's a game state that can keep track of scores and things like that if you wanted to use that for scores. There's these different classes that you can use. And then there's something called uh, the default server game mode down here, which you can use. So you can say, well, I want to use that game mode. I want to use our tutorial game mode if we were on a server or something. Like if you actually built netcode and had a server set up, then you could set that. So down at the bottom, there is the game instance now. The game instance is also a class that you can change now because you could always change it anyways, even when the game mode is not. But you can go ahead and pick your tutorial GI, put that in there. That lets you do that. So now when we go in, it's actually going to be using those classes, regardless of whether or not they're in the world. It's going to be using them. But what's interesting is they have no movement because they don't have any input because we didn't set anything up. So you can't move the character. The base class has movement and it has input, but our pawn that we made doesn't have that. So in order to have movement, we would have to go put that in. And but we could also do things like, to prove that I'm using that pawn, I'm going to go in here, grab the pawn real fast, and I'm going to add a cube to it. Okay, so it's going to look like this, and we're going to just set it to be right at the center ground there. We're also going to grab a spring arm. We're going to attach the spring arm to the cube, and we're going to attach a camera to the spring arm. So now we have a camera, and we have that, and we can hit play, and there is our cube now. And we have our camera back from the cube, right? We still can't move because that's just how that is. But we can adjust the height and the angle of the spring arm. If we wanted to look down at it, we could do that. And we could look at you can look down from an angle. And so things like that are how you start building a pawn. We could go on up. We can pull the up event and we can say set actor location, and we could basically get actor location, and we can go. This is a really quick and easy, dirty way to make this. You wouldn't do this for legitimacy, but you would go here and say plus vector, and all you want to do is make it go up the x-axis. You could say plus 1, and then you could set that to there. So you're setting it to itself plus 1, and so every time you hit the up button, let's make sure that we're in here, it's going to move the pawn a little bit. See that? 1 unit though. We're only going 1 unit. So if we wanted to go faster, we could set that to 10 units. Right? This is a really basic setup. But now we're actually moving forward when we hit up. And I don't know why it's not spawning in full screen right now. But you could go into, if you're having issues with it not spawning in full screen, then you can always go in here and hit go to play and go to common window sizes, monitor 24, and then you can hit play and it's going to be in full screen. And you can hit up and it's going to go that way. It's not going to do anything else because we don't have anything else programmed, but that's the basics of how you start programming a pawn. Same with the character, it can do specific things. You could do that as well. You can go in there and you can start adding other things. Say we wanted to add a light to it, we could do that. There's a lot of options here. There's cube, box collisions and things. But you can definitely play around with that. I wouldn't use the tick a lot for movement. I like to use things. There are specific events and things, and you can make action events, which is another video I'm going to go over later. You can make action events that do something with these keys. You would specifically use the up event or the down event, and they're all within the settings, so they're in a different location. But this is like a quick, dirty way to kind of set up some quick movement just to kind of check things out. I think that's pretty much it for that. And yep, I will probably see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.